Okay. So we had a little situational scrimmage. We got some live work in tonight, which was good. We needed that. I thought the effort was really good tonight. Execution will improve. We got a chance to play a lot of guys, so kind of your typical first scrimmage. Get a lot of guys in there, let guys tackle live, let guys try to break tackles, see if we can move the ball down the field, what's going to happen in certain situations. We've been emphasizing that quite a bit, and I thought the guys handled it well tonight. I was proud of them, just the effort. I thought the effort was there. Urgency, we talked about that. That can always be a little better, but it's first scrimmage. There's a little bit of nerves, and being in the stadium, guys are excited. Some of the new players that haven't been in the stadium, they look forward to that. But just a few standouts. I thought Damari Alston ran the ball well today. So we had a couple of freshmen that stood out. Damari Alston stood out. Thought he ran the ball really well. And then Camden Brown had a touchdown tonight. So those are two freshmen that I thought played well. And then other than that, everybody got some opportunities on the offensive side. So a few catches here and there for everybody, like 2 to 3 catches. Barr had 3 catches. Shanker had a couple catches. Fromm had a couple catches. Shanker also had a touchdown tonight, which was good. So just kind of getting the tight end the ball. Quarterbacks, I thought all did some really good things. Finley operated well tonight. That was good to see. Thank you. And I thought we had a long drive on the very first drive with the first group. Is about 14 plays. So he executed well on that drive. I thought Robbie did well too, making some plays and operated the huddle and did some good things on that part, on his part. Calzada, solid tonight, had a touchdown as well. Carlson was 4 for 4, so it was good to have him back out there too, just after the injury, and to see him get out there and get a few kicks. He's been really doing well in camp, but tonight was good to be out in the stadium, I think, for him as well. We had a few we didn't have the quarterbacks live, so it was hard to really gauge the sacks. But Derek and Eku, both those guys were coming off the edge, and they were doing a really good job. But we had Eku credited for a sack. I think Derek would have had 1 or 2 in there as well. And then at the end of it there, we did a little goal line period, and there was a fumble, and Craig McDonald picked it up and ran for about 95 yards on it. So it was a great play. I don't know which linebacker it was that kind of came through there and made the fumble actually happen. But Craig picked it up and ran it in, and that was how we finished it out. So it was good for the defense, good energy that way. And overall, I thought, we got some good work in. We're a ways away from where we need to be. I think guys know that. So the next step is Friday will be our next scrimmage, and then what do we do tomorrow to get ready for that? So just the preparation, the urgency, all those things are going to be key factors as we start to dive into a little bit more of the depth chart and what we want that to look like going in the second scrimmage. So overall, no decisions right now are going to be made at this point. We'll watch the film tonight. Tomorrow we'll correct, and then Monday will be a day off for these guys, and they start school on Tuesday. So Monday will give us a chance as coaches to kind of go back, evaluate, look at where we are, maybe move some guys around the depth chart, start pinpointing maybe some more specific spots for them. That will include special teams, which is a key factor for us as well, just with the travel squad, and then dialing that in before that second scrimmage on Friday. And then after that, you got to start getting it down to your 2 deep, your scout teams, and then really getting on to Mercer in your first few games so you're prepared for that. So that's where we are right now, and with that, questions.
What have you seen from TJ Finley in terms of maybe his development since the end of last season?
Now, I've always been impressed with TJ as far as just his command. He understands. He's very much like a coach on the field. He understands what we're trying to accomplish. I think he's conceptually picks things up very quickly, listens to the details and all the little nuances of plays and what everybody's supposed to be doing. If there's a coaching point made, not just for him but anybody, he'll remember that coaching point and be able to echo it whenever it comes up or remind guys, and doesn't have to be a coach, which you appreciate. So there's just a lot of, I think, let me say this, he's got a really good understanding of what we're trying to accomplish, all right, and he listens to those things. So I appreciate that. I thought tonight he was good, led the team down the field. I think he executed well when he needed to in some critical moments. Can improve in just kind of some of the easier throws that we didn't complete tonight. Don't know if that was him or not, but I think there's some things that we can improve in those areas just from an accuracy standpoint. But overall, I thought he operated well.
Coach, you mentioned some of the newcomers, the freshmen, and I know you mentioned Craig McDonald by name. Any other players that you got portal in the offseason that you felt like stood out for you?
Well, yeah, on the D-line, yeah, I mean, and I know it's Jason Jones. Jason Jones looks good out there. You know, Jeffrey Emba's coming along. I know he's not a portal guy, but those two new players, Morris, I think has done a really good job. And Morris can play. You know, he's not the biggest guy out there on the field, but he does understand the game. Understands leverage. He's got some suddenness to him where he can really move and do some things, change of direction, which is really helpful that way. Offensively, you know, I didn't really get it. DeZalen's playing, but I don't think he had a catch tonight. But he's out there and getting reps. So we got to see what he can do with the ball in his hand. But I thought some of the freshmen, you know, stood out. But those transfer guys, they're getting opportunities. Marcus Bragg is getting more and more opportunities on the edge, doing some things for us on special teams. So all those guys are contributing somehow, some way right now. It's just going to take a little bit more time for them. Keontae Scott just got here, and he's not a transfer, but that guy can play. And he's back there. He's doing some things for us, and he just, you know, he hadn't been through the whole summer, so he's just kind of catching up. But he's got a lot of natural ability, and you can see that he's going to be a guy for us. And, you know, right now we need that. And I think that secondary, from what I've seen, Coach Etheridge, that group, they're doing a good job, you know, getting themselves prepared. And it was good to see Owen out there tonight. You know, he ran around and looked like Owen and making plays. And Wesley Steiner's a guy, too. You know, people haven't asked much about him. He's a guy that's really coming on. I think he's having a great training camp and has made, you know, quite a few plays. So he's just getting better and better. And Cam Riley, we've talked about him, but those are some guys that have stood out.
Right, you mentioned Tamari had a pretty good day. What stood out about him through, you know, his first 6 or 7 games?
Yeah, I think he's just you know, the one thing about, you know, having guys that and tailbacks that run the ball, I mean, you don't want to overcoach him. He's just got a good feel for it. He knows where to go as far as his aiming point, and then I think he's just got a good feel for, you know, when the play opens up to hit it, if the play's breaking down, what to do. He doesn't lose many yards. He's got a pretty good change of direction when he has to. He showed a good burst tonight. He had a one where he bounced and he turned it on and got caught, but, you know, showed a good burst getting around the edge. And I thought overall, just him running the ball tonight looked like he understood what we were trying to accomplish, had a good feel for what the O-line was doing, and was just kind of getting into a groove, maybe more than anybody else. You know, early on we ran Tank. You know, that was one of the emphasis tonight. We wanted to run the ball, and Tank got quite a few carries early on. He did well too. He ran hard, and he was running against the blue defense, so he was out there, you know, taking some hits and all that. But he was running powerful tonight as well. Yeah, I thought they were solid. I want to go back and watch. I thought they were solid. There were some good things I saw. We had a few plays that we got penetrated on, but overall I thought those guys, there wasn't a lot of negative plays from that standpoint. I think, you know, we have to do a better job of getting some push, but there was some good run. There were some good run lanes they created. I just think our D-line, you know, our D-line's doing a good job, and I think we got some guys on the D-line that can play. So that, especially with that first group, I think that's a challenge for the O-line. So when they're getting positive runs, I think that's good for the offensive line. But I thought tonight we came off the ball. We worked our combinations together well. So those things stood out to me. And we had our chances too. We had our chances. You know, we got to break some tackles with some one-on-one opportunities. But overall, I thought we moved the pile. And really until that last, there might have been a couple plays that we got immediately penetrated on. One being that last play at the end there on the goal line, which you don't want to have happen, but that's where it came up. That was on the O-line. So other than that, they did a pretty good job tonight.
Bryan, when you look at starting quarterbacks, and how do you gauge separation, and has there been any of that shown over the last couple of weeks?
There's some. I'll watch it tonight, and I think we'll see some of that on film. And that's the one thing I told our guys. Every one of those guys want to play. And we're going to play the best guys. They all deserve an opportunity to go out there, which we've given every one of our guys to showcase what they can do. And now we got to start making some decisions. All right, we got to start figuring out, all right, who's going to get a little bit more reps. But as far as the quarterback goes, I watched the whole thing, sideline all the way to the field, how we operate in between plays, the sense of urgency, how fast we call the plays, how fast we get to the ball, how we check things, how we get our offense into the right situations. All those things come into play. So it's not just, hey, that guy throws the ball, you know, perfectly or, you know, the best every time. You want that, but like, how's he operating? right? What's he doing? Is this guy going to help us in the run game? Can he help us, with his feet? Can he do some things in the pass game? So there's a lot more other factors. And then, you know what? Hey, you're watching how accurate they are. You're watching the decision-making process. So that's what I was looking at tonight. What I told those guys tonight, I wanted to see them lead. That's what I wanted to see. From the sideline on the field, that was the number one thing for me. Coach Keesaw can figure out the rest. I want to see these guys lead, and I want to see them just operate our offense. And I thought, for the most part, they did a good job. We didn't have a lot of delay of games. We had one delay of game. We didn't have a ton of bad snaps or just sloppy football from the quarterback play. We can get better, but it wasn't that sloppy from their end.
You mentioned it being harder to gauge sacks with quarterbacks not live. Does that also make it a little harder to gauge a guy like Robbie, who
Yep.
point out how good his legs can be?
Yeah, no questions. That's the give and take, man. This is the thing that sucks about being the head coach is you want to protect your quarterback, and then you're not getting sacks, and he's also, if he's a guy that can go, he's telling you he can break every tackle. Right? I've had guys like that. So that's, I think, the competitive juices in both guys on the edges and the quarterback, you want to see that. But Robbie's a guy when he takes off, he can go. He's shown that. He's got exceptional speed. Our edges, they will get around and they can bend the corner. And, that's the give and take in both. So they all know. Here's the one thing. Our guys know. They know they kind of run by and they're going to razz each other a little bit. But at the end of the day, if the quarterback takes off and the rest of the guys get work, and we thought it was a sack, but the other guys get a chance to go tag off on him and everybody's working to try to catch him, then we're all getting better that way. But it's going to come a point now we're live. That's the one thing for the quarterbacks. You got to understand that. And so we try to go back and make sure they understand, like, that's going to be a hit, that's going to be a sack, that's going to be this, and not just say that because they're wearing the orange jersey that they're going to be able to get away from that in a real game.
All right, can you give an example of where each quarterback has shown some of that leadership or some of those things that we don't get to see?
Yeah. I mean, there's quite a few of those. I mean, we could be here all night if we want to talk about that, really. Let me just say this. Every guy, so from when they enter the huddle to when that play is called, to when we get to the field, or how we take the field, are we looking at the things we need to, the play clock? All right, are we moving the guys around and getting them where they need to? Are we making some adjustments, right? Guy breaks the huddle and lines up, and the tailback's on the wrong side and doesn't correct it. There's an example. That's not good. Right, you leave the huddle and you come to the field and the tailback's on the wrong side, he should be on the other side, and you don't correct it, that's an opportunity to lead. That's an opportunity for you as a quarterback to get things right. All right, so those things happened, and you got to be able to, you got to know it. You got to know your system, and so you see guys, they're lining up incorrectly. You come out of a huddle or you're on the field and they're lined up wrong. You already know they're wrong. You're already moving them. I mean, there's an example of leading your offense on the field, where you already know, like, he's in the wrong spot before he's even getting there, and you're telling him to go the other way. Those are things you want to see from your quarterback. They know what's going on. They know everybody's job. They know what everybody's doing. They know the alignment and the assignment of every single player around them. And you can tell that very quickly about a quarterback because he is observing, and he'll know right away that is wrong. And you'll see him look right at him, and you'll know when a guy has no clue. They're lined up wrong, and they're just looking down and waiting for the snap, and everything's wrong. And that's the type of stuff you have to correct as a quarterback. You can't let that happen. You got to know. Go ahead.
Now, you mentioned a couple of them, but how are the receivers doing, and anybody that's catching your eye?
Yeah, well, I think Camden's a young player. I think that's catching our eye right now. I think Var's doing a good job. I think Shed's had a good camp. So far, we got to get him the ball a little bit more, and in some of these situations, but those guys have stood out. So those are guys. Excuse me. Those are guys now that I've seen that are making some plays, and I think that whole group with Coach Hilliard has made a lot of progress. That's what I think. They run. That's a group that runs all the time, and there's been very few issues out of that group. They're working. They got to get better. We ask them to do a lot of things and be in a lot of different positions. But overall, I mean, they know what to do. They know where to go. I think they practice hard. I think they've competed well. And, again, with that group too, we got to start kind of getting that down to, here's the guys who are going to make the play. Shed had a great catch tonight. And Who else in there? VAR, like I said. Coy had one tonight. Coy probably should have another one too. It's just right behind him. Coy's coming on too. He's the guy you're talking about from a guy that transferred in. He's gonna be a good player for us, and he's getting all the little nuances of our offense down. And so those guys all have a role right now, and we got to start getting it a little bit more detailed moving forward. But I think those guys are all doing a good job.
Brian, was that tweet last night with the picture with Bruce, is that your idea?
We're talking about social media now, huh?
Well, I mean, you tweeted it.
Huh?
You tweeted it at an appropriate time.
Yeah. I guess timing's everything, right?
Brian, what the linebackers, you mentioned some of those guys already. How much of an improvement have you seen out of them as just the first week and a half?
Yeah. Well, I think, like I talked about Steiner, I think he's really stood out. I think Cam Riley is starting to really come into his own as far as being a long, athletic, physical guy that knows what he's doing. And those guys, all three of those guys I mentioned, Owen being included, right, students of the game. Eugene Asante. Eugene missed a lot of spring when his father passed away, and so he's catching up right now. And I think he's going to be a really good player for us. Robert Woodyard tonight. All right, he made some plays. Now, there was a couple. One, he got pushed back, and you kind of think he's just going to kind of react like a freshman and all that. He kind of got pushed back and like, what's going on? And the very next play, he ripped right through whoever tried to block him and made the tackle. Like, he got upset, and it was like it's time to play. And you could see that guy really turn it on, that. But I also think that's part of, like, Christian, Coach Robinson's mentality in that group, right? Those guys are going to know what to do. And then we want to play physical. So I think I've been really impressed with our linebackers. Tisdale. I mean, all these guys. There's guys that played for us a little bit last year that are showing up, and then will be guys that will help us. Whether it's right at linebacker or special teams, they're going to be out there doing something. And I think that group has kind of elevated the whole standard of that room to what they want to accomplish. Each and every practice.
Brian, you mentioned Tate Johnson made a little bit of a move, and did he get some reps at the first team tonight?
He did, yeah. Tate did. Tate and Avery both, those guys. And I think, they're both doing a good job. Again, another year in the weight room, stronger, better shape, better understanding of what we're doing. Those guys, and I think, both those guys have really come on and done some positive things. And they're both getting, more reps. I'll tell you, Brendan Coffey is a guy that's starting to shine. And we all know, if you guys ever seen him, he's very athletic. This guy is starting to understand what we're doing, and so Coffey's coming on. He's kind of bouncing around between tackle and guard, which is good. But he's a guy that's I think has been much improved from where he was. So those guys are in the mix. They're helping us, and the rest of the guys, Trox, Killian, both those guys. I mean, they're on your edges there. They're doing a good job. Colby Smith is coming on. He's getting better. And he's starting to grow up. I think he's kind of growing into his body now a little bit, where he can move it and execute with that long body he's got, which is good to see. So, there's some things happening on the O-line, which is positive.
You mentioned Andrews getting back out there. KD had some injury issues earlier. McDonald back out there. Is everybody pretty much full go now from the guys who had different injury elements?
Yeah, we're not. Andres is going. Yeah, we don't have anybody out that's, from surgeries and all those things that's not ready to go. We've got a few little nicks, hammies, and just kind of bumps and bruises right now, but nothing that from the surgeries that's going to keep anybody out at this point.
Coach, what have you seen out of the secondary specifically in pass coverage?
Yeah, I like what they're doing. We can move now. That's one thing. I think we can get from point A to point B very quickly. I think the communication in the back end has been good. I like what Coach Etheridge and Coach Schmedding are doing with those guys. I think Donovan Kaufman has really emerged as a guy that's communicating well back there. And so you got Donovan Kaufman, you got Nehemiah Pritchett, Simp, those guys. I mean, they played a little bit. I think they're all communicating well. And you got a guy like Caden Bridges now that's coming on, and he's very talented. Still young, but he's learning. But that guy is going to be a player for us once he gets everything figured out, so we feel good about him. Marquis Gilbert, is another guy that can play back there, and I think tonight I want to see what it looked like with him. I saw a couple live pops that he was in on. I think he did a good job on it, so I want to see how he's tackling and how he's playing physically, just downhill. So those are a few guys, on that back end that I think are doing a really good job. But I like the way they're training. That's what I'd say. I think in practice, how they're training, what they're doing, the drills they're doing, how they're communicating, some of the stuff we're trying to get done schematically with them has helped those guys, and it's good to see, kind of a progression from that back end. And they did a good job tonight. They got the offense in some third downs. I thought they covered well on the scrambles, and they were on their guys. There was a couple tip balls we didn't get, but we should get them. And they have in practice, so I think that will come if we just keep doing what we're doing.